In this presentation, I'm going to go over the issue debate presentation for kinesiology 777A, issues in kinesiology. This is our signature assignment for our class. And what we're going to do in our issue debate presentations is go over a controversial topic. In the forum, I showed you a clip of a show called Pardon the Interruption, or PTI. It's one of my favorite TV shows. In the clip, two sports broadcasters are debating a topic, and that was kind of my ideal for this assignment, is that we can debate very controversial topics in the kinesiology area. We're going to do a little bit more academic than pardon the interruption, but still the same ideal here. And so you're going to pick a topic that you're interested in. I would suggest that you pick something that's controversial, that is clear pro and con side of the topic. One of the topics that typically gets picked in this class is should we pay student college athletes? And so I'll use that as an example throughout this presentation. You see that you cannot pick steroids, ergogenic aids, or Title IX, as those topics been talked about enough, and I think we already know the answer to those questions. You also, we cannot have repeated topics, and so once a topic is picked or an issue is picked, it can no longer be chosen. So here in the forum, you will pick your topic. It's first come, first serve. Please place your topic or issue in the subject line of your forum post so other students will know what those topics are. And I will approve your topic once I see it. And if I have questions about your topic, I'll post your questions. So make sure you go back to this forum and make sure that I have approved your topic. You have the choice of either writing a paper or doing some kind of audio presentation for this assignment. And I'll talk about the audio presentations here in just a second. Regardless, for the audio presentations, you do need to provide me a APA formatted reference page in a Word document because I want to see what you are citing in your presentation. So if you do an audio presentation, you can use audio PowerPoint, which a lot of students use. With audio PowerPoint, you need to save the file as a PPTX file. I think with most new PowerPoint programs, that's defaulted at that. If you use the regular or old PPT file extension, your audio files will not be saved, and I don't know why. It's just the way it works. If you use Keynote, which is what I'm using right now, which is max version of PowerPoint, you have to transform or export that presentation into a movie file. You can use these other format or presentation suggestions that I have here on the screen. I have provided links to a lot of different audio or online presentation formats in our class, in a link called external links. Most of them probably do not have an audio feature or recording feature to the tool, but with Screen-O-Matic, which is a screen copy, records basically what you see on your screen, which I also use in presentations. You might be able to use some of these other tools to do your presentation. The goal is to do a presentation that's engaging and interesting and shows part of your personality, because maybe you just don't like writing papers, you'd rather just talk. But your paper or your presentation still needs to follow the format What I mean by that, the format is these sections, and here I've provided you information about the page lengths or paragraphs, those type of things. So when if you're going to do an audio presentation, it should have similar lengths to your script, because you should have a script to your presentation. Your script doesn't need to be APA formatted, but it should give you an idea of what you're going to say. So you still got to write something, because you need to make sure that you have these different sections. So I'll talk about each one of these sections. You're going to start your paper or presentation. I'm just going to say presentation from here on out, and what I mean by that is your paper or your presentation. Is you're going to provide an introduction, and here you're going to provide an opening scenario where you're going to make up a scenario that portrays the issue. For example, if we're going to use the paying student athletes, you can provide a paragraph story of a student that doesn't have a lot of money, and it would really be beneficial if they got paid, $10,000, $20,000 to be a student athlete plus their scholarship, so they can live and make a decent income while they're a student. So whatever that scenario is that portrays the issue for others, you're going to make this up. So that part you're making up. The next part of the paper or presentation is the summary of the issue. You're going to describe or summarize the issue so others can understand what it's all about. Don't assume that the listener or the reader knows anything about this issue. So explain it to others so others can understand what this issue is actually about. And then what I want you to do is link that issue to kinesiology. Kinesiology is a pretty broad subject area. In our program, we're primarily PE teachers, athletic coaches, or strength and conditioning coaches, but we should also link it to athletics or athletic administration as much as you can. Not all topics are relatable to all areas within kinesiology, but how is this issue related to our area of kinesiology? So that's 2 to 3 pages. You're going to support this with references. Pretty much everything in this paper should be supported by references, because you are not the expert. Then the next section is you're going to present both sides of this topic or this issue. This is just, here's the pro side of the paying student athletes, here's the con side of paying student athletes. You're just going to present both sides. Should have a half a page to a page on the pro side, half a page to a page on a con side. They should be equal in their presentations. They should be unbiased. I should not know what side of the topic you are on this part of the paper or presentation. Okay, so you're just going to provide unbiased. Here's the pro and the con side. Then the next section of the paper is where you actually take a side of the issue and defend it. So let's say you are for paying student college athletes. Why? Explain why we should pay student athletes and defend it with research and logic, why we should pay student athletes or we shouldn't pay student athletes. That's about 2 pages in length. Where students kind of mess up on this assignment is that they spend so much time on presenting both the for and against the issue. Their stand on whatever side of the issue they're on is very weak. It's only like a half a page to a page. Whereas they spend too much time telling me why or the yes and no side of the topics. Okay, don't do that. Just provide a summary of the pro and con side of the issue and spend more time defending whatever side of the issue that you're on. The next section is implications. So if we pay college student athletes, what are the implications of that? Some of this you're going to have to just use your brain and be a graduate student and think through the process. If we pay college student athletes or whatever the topic is, what does that mean for coaches? What does that mean for colleges, big and small colleges? Because that has a huge impact on smaller colleges if we have to pay all our student athletes. All our student athletes, not just the ones that make money, the revenue generating sports, but the non-revenue generating sports. What's the impact of that on colleges? What's the impact on recruiting? What's the impact on so many different things on the topic? So you have to think through those. Some of this should be supported by references. Some just won't be able to be supported because you're making it up. What are some ways that we can, what are some suggestions that you can have for other kinesiology professionals on resolving this particular topic or issue? This is where you will use references to support your ideals, because some of the stuff has already been addressed. Because we're not doing it, but we should be doing it, and people have opinions about that. So 3 to 4 pages there and your implications. Typically with some students, this area can be fairly weak. This is really what separates a average student to an excellent student, is the implications, or separates the student who is still thinking at an undergraduate level versus thinking at the graduate level, where you're being a master of our area. This is what we also call the so what of our papers. So what's all this mean, and how does this impact us? And then you want to end your paper with a 1-paragraph conclusion or summary. When we do presentations, or even when we write papers, we typically want to tell them what we're going to tell them, then tell them what you just told them. And that's what a summary is. Tell them what you just told them. Give them a summary of what the issue presentation was all about, issue debate. Okay, so our format for our paper, for those, regardless if you're writing a paper or doing an audio presentation, you need 10 references. These references need to be peer-reviewed journal articles. And to remind you, the different types of journal articles, there are primary and secondary sources. Primary source is original research, where the authors proposed a research question, then designed a research study, collected data, and made conclusions. That's a primary source. And then there are secondary sources, where the author or authors review the findings of multiple studies and provide you information from that. And secondary sources are really good sources. Primary sources are really good sources. Textbooks are secondary sources, so you can use textbooks. Do not use journal articles. Do not use Wikipedia. That's not an acceptable source regardless of anything. But I also say in the syllabus that you may need to use non-peer-reviewed journal articles, such as magazines, internet, ESPN, etc., just to get some background information. But that should not be you can use 1 or 2 of those just to give you some background information, and you still need to cite those. You still need at least 10 journal articles or references. They don't necessarily have to be journal articles. They can be textbooks, but you're not going to find a lot of this stuff in textbooks. All right. Your presentation or paper should be 10 to 13 pages or 30 to 40 minutes if you're doing an audio presentation. If you're doing an audio presentation, realize that we do have a 10 gigabyte file limit in Moodle. That's a huge file, and I doubt if you do any presentation it's going to be that big, but it's going to take forever for it to upload to the forum. That's why I recommend that if you can turn it into some kind of movie file and upload it to YouTube and then link it, might work better. If you're going to attach the file, which you are required to do somehow, if you're not going to do it in a movie file, what's the word I was going to say? Make sure that you are connected to the internet through Ethernet cable, because trying to do this over to Wi-Fi, unless your Wi-Fi is super fast, you're going to time out in Moodle. I've had tons of students have this problem. Other things with the format, if you're doing a paper, I have in the syllabus all the requirements for your paper. I expect you to follow APA. I've provided you an APA formatted template in a Moodle orientation class, and plus I'll provide one here in our course documents. Other things, if you're doing audio presentation, you are expected to be an engaging presenter. Don't be boring. Don't have every single word that you're going to say on a file. On the slide. That just drives me nuts. Be an engaging presenter. We've all had presenters that are boring. Please do not do that. And again, you will need to turn in a APA formatted reference page if you're doing an audio presentation, so I can check your references. Again, you should be citing those references during your presentation, either on the slide or when you say, according to Smith and Jones in 2018, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's required. I will assess you using a rubric, which I have attached to the assignment, which will assess you on these 6 areas. The clarity and quality of the issue is, how did you explain the issue to others, and how's it linked to kinesiology? Presenting both sides of the topic, I already talked about that. And how have you justified your position? And then I have about 20 points there on logic and organization and quality and clarity of your presentation. So how did you write? Is it organized? Is it understandable? Is your presentation, audio presentation, is it engaging? Did you have every single word that you said on the slide? Those type of things. And then 5 points for APA. Again, I will provide you feedback in the rubric when I'm assessing your work. So this assignment is worth 100 points. Then there's another 30 points for you to facilitate your issue debate presentation in a forum. We'll be doing all our presentations during one of the weeks in our class. You will attach your presentation in the forum, as I talked about earlier, either link it or attach it. That's 5 points. Then you'll provide your fellow students 2 to 4 open-ended questions that they're going to answer. Open-ended questions are questions that cannot be answered with a yes or no response. Think about something that you would want to answer. And then 20 points of that is you are facilitating the discussion, which means that when people respond to your issue debate after they watch it or listen to or read your present paper, they're going to have a response. You are expected to read it and respond back to them during the week. So that's 20 points. That's your responsibility during this week. Your other responsibility, and this is true for all students, is that you will read or listen to the presentation. You need to pick one side of that issue. So if you are against paying student athletes, you need to defend why you are against that topic or that side of the issue, and support it with references and use logic to defend your side of the topic. And you'll see that I say how long that response should be. And then you also should answer 2 to 4 posted questions that your fellow students have posted, and support your answers with references too, unless it's a personal question. You can't support something that has a personal nature to it. And you are also responsible for continuing the discussion during the week that we are doing the issue debates. So just as a side note, your presentations are due on a Sunday, and then your initial response to your other students is due I can't remember if it's Tuesday or Wednesday, and then you'll have until the end of the week, probably Friday, to end that response. And so I expect the students to not wait to the last minute to respond back to your fellow students. What I mean by that, if you're facilitating a discussion and it's due on Tuesday, I expect you to respond back at least by Wednesday to your fellow students. And then the people that you responded to, you need to go back and read to see what the other students have wrote back to you. We're having a dialogue here about these topics, so please let's have a good dialogue with one another during this time. There's usually some really interesting topics that we discuss in our class. As I've been doing this class for quite a few years now, I always enjoy the different topics that we talk about.